So here's my special episode 666 video about devil fruits, the number of the demon, the sign of the demon, Satan's favorite number. You'd think Satan's favorite number would be 69, but apparently not. 666. Number of the beast. I like how in like the Omen and some of these other things they mix up because the number of the beast originally was just supposed to be three sixes on somewhere on somebody's body, right? That's the Antichrist. The number that, or not necessarily just the Antichrist, just the number of the beast. Like the powerful witches would have that. But I think in the Omen they mixed it up and they made it like three sixes that are kind of like orbiting each other, kind of in a circle if I remember right. It was a remix, so it's not as obvious. You can look then you can maybe see something different than three sixes. But be that as it may, I don't think Japanese really care about Christianity too much. So we're going to keep this about devil fruits. First of all, we're going to do a comment. This came from an episode of, let me see, 666. Actually, yeah, because the episode 666, I'm recording this like a week after I recorded those. I recorded all the way up to 668 and stopped, and it's been over a week since I've done this. So my memory is a little fuzzy. But in that episode, we had the thing where he talked about, potentially talked about Luffy having demon blood in him. HIG said this. The Japanese word for demon is akuma. 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 Kuma being, Kuma. Interesting. And then the devil fruits are called Akuma no Mi. So there is a correlation between demon and devil in Japanese as well as in English. The devil fruit and demon blood is not just a coincidence like an English coincidence. It also happens in Japanese. So I think that was intentional on the author's part. I think what he's saying is Luffy has a little bit of devil fruit blood in him, irregardless of whether he has devil fruit power. Now, this just occurred to me. Maybe you're calling him a demon because he has a devil fruit power. That could be the connection. I could have misinterpreted it. You could call anybody who has a devil fruit power a demon. But then again, you'd be calling yourself a demon because Daffy's the one who said that, right? He said it, and he has a devil fruit power. So maybe not. I don't know. But let's go ahead and get into... I put out a post, and I wanted people's questions and comments and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and do that. First question comes from HIG. What are some devil fruit powers that haven't appeared in the story for you yet, but you feel must be included in the show before it ends? The one problem with this question is we've got filler, non-canon filler where people have had devil fruit powers. And you could have had this filler be made in 2013, and they invented a devil fruit power, which then the author may not have even been paying attention to, and then he always had in his plans to introduce a very similar power, which maybe he did in the manga in 2016, which could then be adapted into the show in 2022 or something. I don't know the timelines, I'm just making this up. But I'm saying, you see how it could happen. The show's been running for so long that the show could have been at a point when they were creating the show, the manga was at a point that it, maybe at issue 750. And the author's going to do something in issue 800. But the show did some filler not knowing it'd ever be part of the actual canon series. So that could have also happened. I'm sure that's happened at least once, because there's been a lot of filler episodes, and they've had, devil fruit powers in these filler episodes. They just make some shit up, pull some shit out of their ass. So you've got that going on. Then you've got the fact that I don't remember everything. Maybe a character show had a devil fruit power for 2 episodes, and that happens 500 episodes ago. I don't remember every fruit power I've ever seen. So take this with a grain of salt. But the first thing that comes to mind is invisibility. I don't think we've had a devil fruit power where the person who takes it is invisible, have we? I feel like we should. That's such a classic superpower. If we were to rank the top 5 classic superpowers, every ensemble superhero series always depicts this power. Always. We're talking about the Fox show Gifted. We're talking about the X-Men. We're talking about Marvel. We're talking about DC. We're talking about My Hero Academia. What are some others? There's all kinds of... There's so many superpower shows, right? Heroes, the 4400. Just off the top of my head, those are all shows where different continuities, different universes, where people have powers. The most common powers you'll find in almost every single one of these stories. You've got flight, okay? You've got super strength. You've got invisibility. You've got telekinesis. You've got telepathy. Those 5 powers are in every single superhero superpower story ever concocted. Flight, super strength, invisibility, telekinesis, and telepathy are in every single one. Top 5. The Mount Rushmore, I think there's only 4 faces on Mount Rushmore, but we'll say there's 5. That is the Mount Rushmore of superpowers. It's in everything, okay? Everything. Now, you have subsets, you have some below that. Shooting energy beams from your hands or from your eyes. Healing powers. The ability to heal from damage. That could probably be, in the top 5, but what would it replace? Because those top 5 are so iconic. Healing is probably be number 6. It's the first one off the bench. Healing is definitely up there. Then, like I said, you've got shooting lasers and energy beams out of your hands or your dick or your eyes. Then you've got change into a monster, be it the Hulk, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. We've seen so many examples. I guess Naruto and One Piece would be exactly, because I'm talking about One Piece right now, but Naruto and One Piece would also be these kind of shows, right? Where different people have a bunch of different powers. So, top 5 classic. Okay, let's look at the devil fruit powers. Have we seen a power that gives people the ability to fly? Maybe. Not really. Just sheer flight. That's it, flight. No, I mean, people can travel through the air. The author loves people traveling through the air. You got moonwalking. You've got strings on clouds. You've got wings all out the ass. Like a bunch of people have wings. You've got, let me see, helicopter, propeller face guy. I guess propeller face guy is probably the closest to just pure flight that we've seen. So I think we've got flight covered. Okay, we got flight covered. What's the next one? Super strength. I think super strength is covered innumerably amount of times. You got you turning into animals that have massive strength. We've got people using hockey. We've got people using armored skin. Strength is covered. Strength is definitely covered. Have we covered invisibility? I have a faint recollection of somebody being invisible. Was it called Terror Bark, the one with the shadows and taking the ghosts out? Wasn't somebody invisible in that one? I think we've got invisibility covered, actually. He was, because he was peeping in on Nami taking a shower. Was that invisibility? Was his power actually invisibility? I think it was. We've got invisibility covered. Okay. Then we've got telekinesis and telepathy. Have we done telekinesis? The ability to move things just with your mind. I don't think that's been covered. I can't think of a single person. Now, people can shoot out strings and move things. And you may not be able to see the strings, like with Daffy. I don't think we've got. Do we have a puppet power? Just the strings, I guess. I don't think we have telekinesis covered. So there is no telekinesis fruit power that we know of so far. And then telepathy. Have we seen anybody who can read minds? I don't think so. I don't remember it off the top of my head. So, the top 5 powers we see in every show, every movie, every book series, every comic book series. We always see these 5 powers everywhere. No telepathy, no telekinesis. So we're definitely going to see those 2 fruit powers before the end of the series. Count on it. Book it. Unless we've already seen them. Like I almost forgot about invisibility. That's what I can hang my hat on. They're so common. There's so much in this field of show. This type of show, it will happen. So, to the best of my recollection, we've never seen telepathy. We've never seen telekinesis. So those are coming. This one from Hunter Stone. For your afterlife question, I would only really want a powerful devil fruit, but if it's a random chance for the power, then I'm good. By the way, just in case people have forgotten, I ask a question. If you knew for a fact that an afterlife existed, and that anybody who ate a devil fruit is automatically going to whatever version of hell you believe in, would it still be worth doing it in this lifetime to have that power? And 100 Stone, I think, speaks for all of us. If you know you're going to get a very powerful fruit, you're going to get 30, 40 years with it, you'd probably do it. But if it's a random shot, like 4400, by the way, I talked about that. I mentioned 4400. In that case, you could take a drug to get a superpower. But there was a 50-50 chance you would die right there on the spot. You take the drug, you're dead within an hour. But if you don't die, you get a power. But you don't know what the power is going to be. One person's power, their saliva gave people the ability to lose weight. You risk your death. 50% chance of dying. And you get a power where you can make other people lose weight. Not even yourself lose weight. It doesn't work on you because your saliva is in your own mouth. It doesn't work on you, but you can make other people lose weight. 50% chance. So that sucks. Now, eventually they got it down to like 10% chance. You had a 90% chance of living, 10% chance of dying. I would take those odds. But then there's still a really good chance you could get a shitty power. For every Wolverine healing ability, you get the kid in that movie where his power is he can change channels on TV. He's a remote control. That's his power. Why the hell is he even at the School of the Gifted? Dude, like you can change channels. If we can't find the remote control, you get up and you cross the room and you change channels manually, right? Like what I used to have to do. He changes channels and he gets lost in the couch cushions like every other remote control. Those are his powers. That's it. That's all he can do. That is a terrible ass fucking power. And you're going to risk death for that. Right? So, like, would you risk an afterlife for that? Now, Supernatural had this thing where it's like you can make a deal with the devil. You can get whatever you want. Be a world famous musician, world famous author. Me, I'd be like, I don't know about a world famous director, but I'd be a director with access to $100 million. I would want access, there would be a fund of money. $100 million, I can access it to make whatever movies I want for the next 10 years. Because after 10 years, you die and you go to hell. And you spend eternity in hell. But for 10 years, you get whatever you want. Me, I would just make movies for 10 years. There'd be some awesome movies with the $100 million budget. Is all I get. So some of these movies better make some money, right? But I'd be good. Basically, I'd be spending $10 million on a movie every single year for 10 years. And that'd be my legacy. Even after I'm dead and I'm in hell, these movies would be out there. That would be my legacy. I'd be very happy with that. I would do that deal. Especially now that I've lived so long. 10 years. So I would do that, right? But you're guaranteed you with $100 million access to make movies, you're guaranteed to... I would be happy. Other people may not be happy. You're like, damn, I don't want to make movies. But that would make me very happy. So... anybody didn't see the question originally, go ahead, you can answer it in the comments below. Would you do that deal? You can't pick your power. It's a random chance for the power. And you go to hell for all of eternity after you die. But you get the fruit power while you're alive. So maybe it helps you extend your life. Maybe the power of somebody like Brooke, you can live for a really long time. I assume Brooke will still die at some point. The final death. I'm already imagining his laugh. I'm already dead. Whatever his laugh is, So I can already imagine you making that joke. Shut the hell up, Brooke. He's in my head. Here's another one from HIG. Here's a snippet from a 2014 Odo interview that touches on the devil fruits. About the idea behind the devil fruits that appear in the series. He says he was influenced when he was a kid by the series Doraemon. And that most of his inspiration comes from his everyday life. There are inspirations from his everyday life everywhere. For example, he often works alone all night in order to make his deadlines. He said that he would love to have the same ability as Nico Robin. If you're in possession of the flower devil fruit, it's interesting. Her power is the flower fruit. I guess you could say her limbs are flowering up. I don't know. I guess that was the original conception and he took it off from there. I don't know if we would call that a flower fruit. You maybe say the multiplication fruit? I don't know. I'm nitpicking. I guess he originally thought of a flower, her limbs flower up, and then he took it from there. So, don't want to look too deep into it, I guess. He'd be able to use multiple hands at once and finish his work faster. As for Luffy's gum gum fruit, the idea came from his own laziness. He often wishes his hands could stretch very far like rubber so he'd be able to get stuff without leaving the chair when he's busy working on something. Fair enough. The powers used by female characters in the series are related to the wishes of everyday women. Alvida's slip fruit gave her body the power to be slippery, giving her perfect skin. As for Miss Valentine's kilo fruit, it gives her the ability to change her body weight at will, going from a stout body weight to becoming light as a feather, making it even possible for her to fly. Now, there's a flying ability. Not really, but, maybe. He also stated he usually sleeps 4 hours a day, from 8 a.m. to noon, which, according to him, is enough. Good shit. I'm with him. I want extra limbs. What I need is an extra computer, but, I'll take extra limbs. And also, I don't sleep very much either. He says, do you have a theory on how objects eat devil fruits? Well, it just so happens that I have read a comic book series that was turned into a shitty Netflix series called Lock and Key. And in Lock and Key, let's see, what can I use as a prop here? You have certain magical objects, or keys. Let me use a pen, that's a pretty good prop. Okay, so you have these keys that can do various things. Like for one key, you can give yourself super strength. For another key, you can open your mind and pull out memories or put things in. You can put a book in there and all of a sudden you've read the entire book and you understand it. So, or you can pull out your fear, which is what they did. But how do you use this key to unlock your head? Okay, well, when you put the key close to your body, a keyhole appears. Just out of nowhere. The magical key creates a keyhole in your neck. You insert the key and you turn it, and all of a sudden you have access to your head. And you can put things in or you can take things out. That keyhole only appears when you have a specific kind of key that you hold close to your body. Now there's other cases of this where you have a door key where you can turn a wall into a door. You get close to the door, you get close to the wall with your key, and a keyhole will appear in the wall. You use a keyhole, and then you create a door and you can leave, right? So I think maybe there has to be some intentionality from a person holding the devil fruit. But I think that if you put a devil fruit close to an object and you have some kind of intentionality, it creates a hole that you can shove the fruit into, or it creates a mouth to eat the fruit. That's how I think they're doing it. I think it's just like Lock and Key. I think it's situational. There's no keyhole appearing in your neck unless you have the correct key and you put it close to the skin. I think it's that way with here too. I think that the fruit being placed close to the object, and then some kind of intentionality on the person holding the fruit. Maybe the person has to have already eaten the fruit, so the fruit rejects them as a recipient. Or maybe the person has a force of will. Or maybe a person, I think more than one person has fed things to fruits. Because, it's possible. Is it more than one person, or has one person only ever done that? Because I remember way back in Water 7, the asshole, didn't he have something in his office that used to be a gun or something that he'd fed a gun of fruit or something? Somebody did that. It was a long time ago. I don't think Vegapunk did it. But it's possible Vegapunk ate a fruit that allows him to feed fruits to objects. Like the object fruit, right? So that when he holds a fruit near an object, a mouth appears and he can decide to do it or not. Either that, which means he would have done this gun too at some point. And he did work for the Navy, and Water 7 guy worked for the Navy, if I'm remembering the correct story arc. I just remember that somebody had a gun that had been fed a fruit. That's all I remember. Or a sword. Or maybe it was a gun and a sword. I don't specifically remember, but it was something. It was a long time ago, but it was something like that. We've been seeing this for a while, where objects have eaten fruits. So it's either that, there's an object fruit that somebody has consumed, or It's just the intentionality of the person holding the fruit, the mental willpower to imagine this thing, like the room requirement. The room requirement is going to open unless you have the intentionality of it opening, either consciously or subconsciously. That could be the same thing with this fruit. You hold this fruit next to a car, or next to a chair, or next to a gun or something, or a knife or a sword, a mouth appears. That's the only way I can think you could do it, right? Because these objects are solid objects for the most part. The ones we're talking about, anyway. A gun, I guess, has a barrel. You could shove it in a barrel, I suppose, but would that work? I don't know. I doubt it. You could always just, like, chop it up or squeeze the juice over the object. I guess that could work. You squeeze the juice over the object, is that consuming it? Maybe. Those are more mundane solutions. I like my idea better just because it's kind of cool, you know? So that's what I think. All right, next question. This is Klaus answering the afterlife question. I would go to the good old afterlife. Well, as long as the power I get isn't something I'm never going to die, or somehow get reborn every time, avoiding the hell. But I guess in that scenario, you would at some point hated wanting to go to the good old afterlife, and damn your choice. And he couldn't decide which fruit he'd want. I think it was another question I asked. Which devil fruit would you want? But yeah, I mean, like, you know, wanting to live forever. Remember, the universe is going to have a heat death at some point. I don't want to live forever. I wouldn't mind living for a few thousand years. I kind of want to see how this is all going to work out. Have the option of pulling the ripcord anytime I want to, and just, you know, be in good health the whole time. You don't want to be like that dumbass in the Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts movies, where he was several hundred years old, so his body was falling apart. Like, you shake his hand and you break his fingers off because he's so old and frail. You don't want to be that. Death Becomes Her, I think it was another one like that, where they just fall apart. They can't repair damage. Anything happens, they just get worse and worse and worse. Like, you don't want to be falling apart. You don't want to have dementia just keep getting older and older and older. Old people are disgusting. Old people are nasty. Old people are repulsive. We don't want to be old. Old. Like, I'm old. You don't want to be old, right? So as long as you're not old, like how I am right now for 2,000 years, I would sign up for that right now. How I am right now. Like, I don't get any older in this. And I repair damage and stuff like that. Like, I got that. That's got to be part of the rules. Otherwise, I don't want it. But yeah, I would want that. But for the right power, I mean, fuck hell. I've always said, I have a theory that I don't think hell is that bad, because anything done forever would be so monotonous it wouldn't matter anymore. Like, say they're drilling into your skull forever. Like, after a few hundred years, you wouldn't feel it anymore. It wouldn't feel like anything. It wouldn't be torture anymore. It'd just be monotonous. The human brain gets used to anything, no matter how bad it is. Like, they could be sawing you open every day and your body reforms and they saw you open again. They could be screwing your eye socket with a pipe wrench. And sooner or later it's going to get monotonous. I don't think eternal torture even means anything. The only way it'd work is if you remove the memory of the torture every day. So I guess it'd be fresh and it wouldn't be monotonous, but I don't know, man. Like, I just, you know. So I don't think hell's that bad. Arrogance of the living, I'm sure, but still. But yeah, that's what Klaus thinks. Probably, you know, I mean, I understand that point of view. Forever is a long time, and, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Like, I'm always open to the possibility I could possibly, maybe, I'm open to entertaining the idea that I could possibly be wrong about hell. Maybe. All right, this one's from HIG. Odo said this in an ABA or whatever that is, SBS. D, whoever, that must be the person asking the question. May I pose a serious question to the typically vulgar SBS? Jesus. In volume 46, Usopp said that the same power doesn't exist twice. But this doesn't make sense with what you said in volume 45 SBS. If the Gomu Gomu the Gomu Gomu fruit, I guess. It's interesting, like the Japanese is like Gomu Gomu no Miya. I guess no Miya means fruit or devil fruit or something. I don't know. Because you always see I always see the Nomiya after, like the Japanese version of the devil fruit. Anyway, if the Gomu Gomu was a book of fruits, then Luffy had to have eaten at least a second known example of the fruit, the rubber fruit. So explain this, essentially. Like, you see the full question. He goes on, he's kissing the author's ass and shit. Like, I don't care about that. So they're like, there's a book of fruits, and the only way they know about it is if somebody else is eating the rubber fruit. This must have been really early on before we realized that they reincarnate, the fruits reincarnate. He's like, very sharp of you. But I'm cool, I haven't made any mistakes. As a hint, let me rephrase what Usopp is saying. The same power doesn't exist twice at the same time. How's that? For more detail, you just have to wait for a certain professor to make an appearance in the story. What professor? And explain exactly what the devil fruits really are, eventually. Oh, so a professor is going to appear and explain exactly what the devil fruits are at some point. But, I mean, it seemed obvious. Maybe somebody just told me a long time ago and it was a spoiler and it wasn't obvious and it shouldn't have been told to me. I don't remember. But it seems like I've known for almost since the beginning of the series that the powers recur. Like, once somebody dies, somebody else can get the power. The fruit can exist again. I feel like I've known that forever. Maybe I didn't. Maybe if somebody can remember the timeline of when I knew this. But I feel like I've known that for a really long time. And this is like 46? Does he do an SBS every volume? I wonder if that's a trade paperback collection of a bunch of manga, or if a volume is just one issue of a manga. Because volume 45 wouldn't be very far into the story if if it was a long time ago. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a collection of manga, maybe 24 episodes, issues, 30 issues, 100 issues, something like that. No, it wouldn't be 100 because it's 45. I would say probably a month's worth. Maybe a volume is a month's worth of issues. That would make sense. So 45 months in, that's a little over 4 years, right? Okay, this one's from Hunter. The biggest negative of devil fruits is not having the ability to swim, and I already can't swim. He's answering that question, I guess. So I'm not too worried to have a devil fruit. I could go for the obvious ones like Laws or Robin's, but I'm going to go with Capone Bejet, mobster, worst generation pirate, devil fruit. If you don't remember, his body is one giant building where you can store people or things. If Bejet can enter his own body, then it can be considered a house he could live in. If I wanted to go full criminal, imagine. Interesting. That is not a fruit I'd want. But because it kind of reminds me, there's other people that can do this. Slime Boy from the Fishman Island arc. He could put things into his body. Store things. I guess maybe the idea of a house is kind of cool. I like the door guy. Like, I wouldn't want to be the door guy, but I like the door guy. Like, I remember when this first happened. It was Water 7 again. This guy goes like this up against a wall or something, and somebody just opens him and walks through him or something, some shit like that. I was like, what the hell is going on? I talked about how seriously stupid it looked, but it turns out it's a pretty cool power. He can make doors out of thin air, right? That was pretty cool. Like, you could... I wouldn't want that power, but it's a cool... I would want one of my minions to have that power. It was a cool power. Those guys were stacked, man. CP9, they were stacked. I know they probably wouldn't be shit these days if Luffy came up against them. He could solo all of them by himself. But they were fun villains. Probably my favorite villains. My favorite villain ensemble, for sure. But yeah, what fruit would I want? Not everything's about fighting. I really think telepathy would be a really good power. Then you need to be able to turn it off. Because a lot of times, telepathy, but you can never turn it off, so you go insane. Screw that. We don't want that. Telepathy, though, would be great, especially if nobody knows you have it. It wouldn't be obvious. Almost every other fruit power is obvious that you have a power, right? The only thing you do is you have to carefully avoid water. People may know you have a power if they see you doing that, if they notice it. But otherwise, the intelligence gathering ability, the ability to tell people when they're lying to you. If you're a criminal, you can find out where their shit is. You can, there's so many uses for telepathy, especially if we can make it go both ways. If you can project thoughts into somebody else, you either do that as Inception, where you make them think it's their thought, or just ability to communicate without talking. Be super valuable. Somebody walks in a room, and you're like, don't react, but this person over here has got a gun on me. Go get help. And be like, oh shit, I forgot the milk, and then they leave, right? Like, that's just one example of a million different examples of how it would be useful to be able to talk to people with nobody knowing you're talking to them. Screw the snails. We know telepathy exists because we have the snails. So there's going to be a human being who has telepathy. So that's probably the power I would want. Everybody wants to fight, right? But if you have telepathy, you never have to fight. You know, I've said it many times. My con man brother told me this, and I've never forgotten this. You can manipulate anybody in the world if you know what they want and you know what they're afraid of. People just aren't going to come out and tell you, especially strangers. But if you know what they want and you know what they're afraid of, you can use those two things against them and pretty much frame the situation and frame the facts and lie in such a way and present things in a certain way where you're always going to be on their side. They're always going to be on your side. You'll have something over them. If nothing else, you can tell them, like, I know what you did last week, and I've already told 2 other people because I can mentally project thoughts. If you kill me, or if you even lay a finger on me, everybody's going to know. That's going to make almost anybody pause. Now, you have a couple psychos out there that won't care. But then that's why you have minions, right? I don't think everything has to be about fighting. Pure raw power. Pure raw power attracts a lot of attention. I kind of want to work from the shadows, right? That would be the most dangerous kind of villain. They're just kind of chilling. They're sitting over here drinking coffee. They're the most dangerous person on this island. They're just sitting there drinking coffee. They got some minions. They know what everybody's thinking at all times. They don't have to burn a building down with the blink of an eye to prove to people they got a big dick. They just sit there and they enjoy life and they reap the benefits of their power and never have to lift a finger and fight anybody. Like, that's the most dangerous kind of villain, man. See, Luffy wouldn't care if you knew any secrets about him. He doesn't give a shit, right? But there's things maybe you could know, or you could just stay on his good side. Because, here's the thing. Most of the time, Luffy's going to fight somebody if they're in his way, if they're screwing with him, or if they have a very dangerous power and he thinks it'd be cool to fight him. The kind of guy I'm talking about, just over there chilling with his telepathy, he's none of those things. Luffy would never want to fight him. There wouldn't be anything to it. He's not going to have anybody prison. He doesn't have to keep people prisoner, have people locked up. He doesn't need slaves. None of this shit. He doesn't need to really mess with anybody. Just things come to him. This ship is just passed by the dock and listened to what everybody was thinking. The ship's going to be in at midnight. I projected thoughts into these guards, 10 minutes before midnight, that they left the burner on at the stove back at their house, so they ran off to go check the burner at the house. The guards aren't here. We just go in and we swoop in and we take shit. We never have to hurt anybody. We just get paid. That's the kind of villain I want. That's the kind of power I want. That's how you use that shit. Now, that's not the kind of story we're in here. It'd be cool to see a villain like that, but the kind of story we're in here is we got big, sweaty, hairy, massive, 50-foot tall people slinging punches. We're standing toe-to-toe, and it always comes down to, we're punching people. I'm not making fun of the story. I love it all. But that's the story we're in, right? We're not into some cerebral Professor Moriarty-ass, villain-ass story. So, I would have no place in the story. But that's the power I want. Well, that's our Satanic Devil Fruit video. I think it went pretty well. If you have any more Devil Fruit questions, I'm obsessed with the topic, so we'll probably have another video at some point. Drop them here. Let me know your opinions here, and we'll go from there.